So I don't do this very often because this is not a channel where I try to get lots of views, but this is a video directly to UK parents. My name is Lisa Muggeridge. I am a mother and I'm also a qualified social worker. Now, we all want to be inclusive, we all want to be kind, nobody wishes harm on other people. And when people with gender dysphoria were given protection under equality legislation, and when the gender recognition certificate came in, I, like most people, cheered. And now I sit watching in horror with my trans friends as they watch the possibility of their rights disappearing forever. But I'm more horrified because the reason that they're scared they're going to lose their rights forever is because a group of very dangerous, very abusive males with extensive institutional backup, including the Green Party, the Labour Party, the Guardian, and Stonewall and Pink News, have been able to use these new rights that trans people were granted, which I still have not changed my position on, to push a very, very dangerous agenda that has already harmed thousands and thousands of children, that threatens to harm thousands and thousands more, puts vulnerable groups at risk, and puts your children at risk, and it's in your schools. I would never have believed it unless you had said, but this is what is now happening. Now, first of all is the demand that anybody who says that they are a woman, regardless of status, regardless of gender reassignment, regardless of anything, anybody should be able to get access to spaces of safety from male violence. 40% of trans prisoners are sex offenders. That's much higher than the normal population, because sex offenders and paedophiles and abusers have seen this as an opportunity. For about 2 years, women who discuss safeguarding have been targeted relentlessly, including systematic stalking from a young Green Party officer who invented a tool which targeted 50,000 women for discussing safeguarding. This boy made this tool with his father, a man called David Challoner, who was recently convicted for torturing and raping a 10-year-old girl. Their address of the crime scene was the Green Party office. The entire platform for this young man within the Green Party was that they wanted safeguarding liquidated. A charity called Mermaids have been going into schools. They have been warned by a High Court judge not to contact a family because the work that they did projecting onto this child was so dangerous. This bunch of activists are largely abusive adult males, many of them very mentally unwell, including flashers, including paedophiles, including very abusive males, have had significant institutional support because nobody has been able to hear them. Political parties haven't been listening because they've been so busy clapping and going, look, brave, stunning, that they didn't hear what they were saying. Now, what these adult male activists have been asking is the psychological device that they use to manage gender dysphoria is applied to your children. They have been going into schools. Children are incredibly suggestible, incredibly vulnerable. We know this as parents. They have been telling them that their sex is mutable, that it can be changed. It can't. That puberty suppressants, which have long-term damaging, enormous impacts, even with short-term use, can be used long-term to completely stop puberty, including cross-sex hormones, which end fertility for good. That these drugs should be used long-term, and that's how children can achieve their authentic self. These are followed up with mastectomies, with phalloplasty, which is where the flesh and skin from your arm is removed to make a pretend penis that basically doesn't work. Most children with gender dysphoria desist. There is not a single piece of research that does not show that. I don't even know what the numbers are. It's like 80 or 90% desist. We know why, because childhood and adolescence is a period of dysphoria and confusion. This is high numbers of young lesbians, kids with Asperger's, kids with ADHD, kids who are not neurotypical. More concerning is that this is kids exhibiting symptoms which indicate very serious mental distress and sexual abuse. So children who are presenting with symptoms which suggest sexual abuse, these charities have put guidance in your schools which demand that those children be lifted out of safeguarding and adults be given access to them without their parents' consent. They have put packs in your kids' school, not all your kids' school, but this is government-funded packs called the All Sorts Guidance, which you can Google, which if you have any understanding of safeguarding, it takes 2 minutes to check against Working Together and the Children's Act to realise this is textbook grooming, and nobody has paid attention. Now, lots of people are starting to panic because they have pushed this unquestioningly. It has been pushed on the BBC, it's been pushed in major news organisations, and nobody asked any questions. And now they're starting to ask questions and they're starting to panic. The government have announced an inquiry to address the 4,400% increase in referrals to gender clinics in the UK, mostly teenage girls, good chunk of them lesbians, good chunk of them not neurotypical, high proportion of sexual abuse. These activists have been targeting and abusing women, like literally physically assaulting women, driving them off the internet to stop them discussing this. You have never heard of a civil rights movement where lesbians are oppressing males for not doing dick. That's also what these activists are saying. Now, the government have announced an inquiry and lots of people are getting very, very worried, and so they should be. And in other countries, this is firmly embedded. But in England and Scotland and Ireland and Wales, you can stop this now, this week, because you have parental responsibility. Parental responsibility places you at the centre of safeguarding with the most power in that agreement. You are the site of political responsibility for your children, as are politicians, as are your children's school. You can contact your child's school today and you can ask them one simple question. Have you checked for tension between this gender ideology and safeguarding? Have you compared the two? Have you looked at this guidance that you have been given on this training where these dodgy charities have been into your schools, inducing dysphoria in children so they can be medicalised? Have you checked whether it contradicts safeguarding? Because safeguarding is the rule of law, and you can demand that today. The government have to do an inquiry. Politicians are shitting themselves all over the place. The newspapers, The Guardian, are firmly embedded, and by the way, I have not finished with The Guardian. But you have the power to literally, I have put on my blog the email that I sent to my daughter's school yesterday. I will be going to see them this week. They will be receptive to you. They will absolutely understand what you are saying, and by now they will all also be worried. But we can knock this on the head now. We can knock this on the head this week. All you have to do is contact your child's school and say, have you checked whether there is tension between this gender ideology stuff and safeguarding? Because I am concerned. This is adult activists, including sex offenders, paedophiles, flashers, who have been given government money. This is charities who've been warned to stay away from children, who are in your schools, demanding that we have dysphoria induced in children so that they can be permanently medicalised to appease adult activists, adult male activists, including very dangerous men. You have the power to act. I have the power to act. British women have British mothers and fathers have the power to act. You have parental responsibility under law. You can contact your child's school today and you can say, have you looked at the tension between safeguarding and this gender ideology? Because nobody's identity should contradict safeguarding. And if somebody's telling you that safeguarding is damaging to their identity and limits them, the correct response is always to say, which bit of your identity does that damage and what does it limit you in doing? Because in this country, we make children our priority. And when we are given a choice between adult male activists with adult 7-year-olds who want with inner 7-year-olds who want access to children, and real 7-year-olds who are our actual children who we have responsibility for, the choice is always there. Up until a few weeks ago, until David Challoner was arrested, was convicted, that would have gotten you driven off Twitter by these people. I am asking you to act with British women and to stand up and to contact your child's school and ask them to look for the tension between safeguarding and gender ideology. And I'm asking you to do it this week.